how do you know the difference between feeling numb or feeling at peace? You see, when you're coming out of a toxic or narcissistic relationship, you do feel like you're not yourself. You start to feel a bit empty and you don't know, well, am I at peace with this now because I don't feel maybe as stressed, or I don't really have any hope about the situation anymore. Is this what healing is, right? Am I growing in my healing journey, or am I just numb? How do you know the difference? And this is a really important question. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between being numb and being at peace. Being numb is being somewhat detached, disconnected, right? You lose a sense of feeling for things, feelings for life, right? So you're just existing, you're just going through the motions, but you're not really connecting to anything. Now, this is helpful because it is a coping mechanism. When we are, as human beings, when we are under a lot of distress, right? Even people that are in war, they disconnect, they disassociate from the situation so that they can survive. When we are in traumatic situations, and a lot of times people think trauma has to just do with physical, but it's also a mental, emotional, psychological experience. So when you are under extreme levels of stress, in order to survive, right, under this heavy amount of stress, you start to disconnect and detach. Even when you are coming out of a toxic and narcissistic relationship, you may say, okay, I'm coming out of it now. You know, it's been a month, it's been a couple months, or it's been a week, whatever it is, you feel like I'm finally out. You know, maybe this is what peace might feel like. And it's possible, but it's also possible it may be numb. Okay, let's talk about peace for a minute, and then we're going to compare it so you can assess for yourself, am I feeling numb, or am I actually starting to heal and feeling more at peace? Peace is a sense of calmness, right? Now, I know it's easy to confuse the difference between numb and peace. So let me explain peace a little bit more. Peace is calmness. You have a certain level of contentment, even if things are not exactly the way you want it to be. Now, here is what I believe will allow you to know where you stand, right? Because they are in definition still very similar. When you are at peace, you have a sense of enthusiasm for the future. You have a sense of enthusiasm even for the present because you feel. You see, when you're numb, you don't want to feel anything, right? Again, that's your coping mechanism. So yes, you are detached. You might confuse it with being at peace because you don't really care. You're indifferent about how things go. But when you're at peace, you want to feel, right? You feel calm, but you also want to feel other things, right? You want to connect with others. You want to feel life, and you want to feel enthusiastic about life. That is the difference. I'll give you an example from my personal experience. For those of you who know me, you know I'm a toxic relationship coach. I'm also a mental health professional. But in addition to that, I was in a long-term narcissistic relationship. And I remember at the end of that relationship, the narcissist asked me, how do you feel if I date other people? Mind you, we were still together at the time and married, but it was going down the hill. And I remember saying, you can do what you want. And part of it, yes, was just to test him. But the other part was like, I just feel exhausted. I think that's another key. When you come out of these relationships, it is just the beginning. It's like coming out of war. Just because someone comes back from war doesn't mean they fall right back into society. We know that, right? When veterans come back, they have to go through a whole, process of assimilating back into society, getting their mental health support, getting social services involved, because they have to assimilate back into society. And that is the same thing when you are coming out of a toxic and narcissistic relationship. You have to now catch yourself. You have to assimilate back into your own life, into who you are, and find yourself again. Right? So when I was coming out of that relationship, it was like, I don't even care what you do anymore. I'm just so exhausted. And that will make you feel numb, because I started to feel indifferent about how things go. And even for my personal life, right? I felt like I needed to put my life on a pause. I had always been a very ambitious woman. Went to school, got my degrees that I needed, started my career. I wanted to learn Spanish. I had all these goals every year. I'm one of those goal setters, right? Every year I have a new goal I want to set. And I would fulfill it for the most part and be enthusiastic. But I felt so exhausted. I felt like I needed to put all my goals on pause because I felt so drained. and I started to become numb towards him and towards what happened to me. I just needed a break from life in general, right? So that is numb. Now, as I started to heal and I started to become at peace and accepting, that's a key word when it comes to peace. You are accepting about what someone did to you. You, not that you agree with it, but you accept that it happened, right? You know, you understand you cannot go back in the past. And what helps you to accept things is that you say, okay, it happened to me, but now how can I grow from this? I don't want this to be in vain. I want, when we talk about healing, that is part of healing, is to understand, how did I get here? This is what I focus on with my clients in the relationship detox. How did I get here? How do I make sure why did I stay so long? And how do I make sure I don't end up here again? And answering those questions over my healing journey, I was able to come to peace with what happened. And that gave me a sense of calm, but I no longer detached from the situation. I was able to accept the situation. And then I started to have an enthusiasm again for my life, for my future, and so forth. If you are currently in a space where you are either in a toxic and narcissistic relationship and want to leave, but don't know where to start, don't know what to expect, or you're already out of the relationship, or you're on your way out, but you feel drained, you feel exhausted, you feel numb, and you want support, go ahead and click the link in the description box below to learn a little bit more about my program, the Relationship Detox, or you can go to www.therelationshipdetox.co to get more information about that. I hope that this was helpful for you. Go ahead, if you're not already subscribed, subscribe to this video, and I will see you in the next one.